Welcome to the Hormone Hub, your go-to source for the conversations every woman in her 40s and 50s needs to have. I'm your host, Kylie Pinwill, your nutritionist, helping you navigate your way through perimenopause, menopause and beyond so you can say goodbye to the endless fatigue, unexplained weight gain, hot flushes, PMS, mood changes and more that come on this hormonal roller coaster. If you missed the memo or think this is only for women of a certain age, ladies, it's time to think again. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of my latest episodes, which are released every week. Share it with your friends, your sweaty sisters. The more we talk, the more we help each other. Hello, and welcome back to the Hormone Hub. In this episode today, I am very excited to have a long-term friend as a guest on the podcast. We have Katie Stewart today, and Katie's a registered holistic nutritionist, and she's the founder of the Clear Skin Solution. So Katie helps adult women who are struggling with chronic acne to get to the root cause of what's triggering all these breakouts. She also does a lot of functional testing with a lot of her clients, which really sets her apart from let's just slap another product on your skin for sure. So Katie's goal is for women of any age to feel confident and beautiful in their own skin again. So welcome, Katie. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thanks, Kylie. I was so pumped when you're like, do you want to be in my podcast? I'm like, absolutely, I want to be on the podcast. It's actually one of my favorite things to do. We just started our own podcast back in June, and it's been the highlight of my week every week. And anytime I get to guest on another podcast is amazing. And it's even better when it's with friends. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's fun. It's fun doing it with a friend.
Fun. It's like having a tea with your girlfriend.
Yes, absolutely. So everyone listening, you're just along for the ride as Katie and I have a catch up.
Buckle up. Buckle up, everybody.
So Katie, I've had a lot of women reach out to me sort of over the years, and they're like, okay, I'm 50, I'm 40, I'm 45, I'm 55, why I'm getting hot flushes, I'm putting on weight, I've got all this stuff going on. Why am I still getting pimples and acne?
It's crazy, right? It's always, acne itself is always looked at as being a teenage disease. It's like, oh, everybody always expects the pimply teenaged kids as they're going through puberty, but no one ever expects adult women. And you're like, okay, maybe in your 20s, you can kind of sort of get away with it because you're entering adulthood, but in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s and even your 60s, it starts to stand out a little bit. And for our clients, they feel very isolated and very alone because it's not a very common thing. To me, it's common because it's what I do day in and day out. But for them, they don't often know another 40-something, 50-something dealing with adult chronic acne. It's like, okay, so I have to deal with fine lines and acne. What a cruel, sick joke from the universe. Like, when is that going to regulate itself? So absolutely, if you are listening, you have been dealing with the dreaded adult acne, 40s, 50s plus, you are not alone.
Yeah. And what role does perimenopause and menopause play in acne? Because for some women that I speak to, they might have had acne as a teenager in their 20s. It sort of died down for a few years and now it's reared its ugly head again.
Absolutely. And there's a number of things we really have to look at, right? Because as you know, Kylie, and I'm sure your clients know in your community that there isn't a one size fits all approach to everything. It's not like, everyone, as soon as you get menopause, you get a hot flash and then you get breakouts. So for our
just
clients,
stop buying all the supplements on Facebook, ladies. It's not a one-size.
If we could maybe summarize this episode, it's probably do not buy that hormone balancing supplement the influencer on Instagram is repping because they're getting paid to do so.
Yes, 100%.
110%. I'm all about not buying
saying that, ladies. It's Katie too.
I am on my soapbox, Kylie, all of the time preaching, please don't blind supplement because you could be making the issues way worse in the long run. But when we're looking at those perimenopausal, menopausal years, we really do find a compounding effect and that shift in your hormones. So we have to remember that everything that's happened to us from the time of conception up until today has been an impact on our overall health status. So when we're looking at that big overarching health picture, when we're in our 40s and 50s, like there's a few decades under our belt at that point. And when we look back over that timeline, maybe as a kid, you got sick a lot, you had antibiotics, maybe you got parasites, food poisoning, you had painful periods, maybe you took the pill or took Accutane. In our instance, a lot of Accutane users. Maybe you went through the job stress, university, you ate really crappy, you had all of the refined foods, the sugars, the alcohol, all of the fun, basically in your 20s.
And beer.
I lived on vodka rock stars or vodka orange juices and craft dinner for like a solid 5 years. So been there, done that.
Yeah, Wheat Bix and then when we get noodles were my menu of choice.
The instant ramen noodles. Like, obviously, you get to save the most amount of time and money.
Yep. True. Cheap, because it was more money for beer, right?
Yeah, obviously, like I'd rather be spending my money on alcohol versus actual food.
How did anyone of us actually live through our 20s is the whole thing.
Honestly, I'm not quite sure. Like I look back on it and I cringe. I'm like, oh my dear God. Yes, I had fun, but now.
So I can add another layer in. So now, as a mum of a recently turned 19-year-old, he's traveling for the first time through Europe. And Katie, your kids are younger, so you've got all this to look forward to. He sends me a photo. He's in Thailand for his 19th birthday. He sends me a photo of him dressed as a ladyboy. And then a video of him on stage dancing, the ladyboy dance. And guess who wins the ladyboy competition?
Your son, obviously.
Yeah. So they're, yes. like proud parenting moments. But like part of me is like, oh my God, like I would have totally been in that.
Same. I would have been like, sign me up. Like, where's the grass skirt is what I would have been doing. And like
head to toe sequins and
head to toe.
But as
your poor guy, your liver, don't do it. And learn from my lessons.
Coincidentally, we kind of get it under control and then it flares up. But he does suffer also from acne. So it's like, oh, mate, what are you going to come back like?
But it's hard, right? Is when you're in that age, it's really hard to see past the fun. But as we get into those 30s and those 40s and those 50s, that's where we look back on all of those years we're having too much fun and we're now seeing the impact. It's that compounding effect. Yeah. So when we get into our 30s, maybe you've had kids, maybe you've had pregnancy losses, maybe you've done IVF, maybe you've been on the birth control pill. Anything in that realm of fertility for women can have a really big impact on your hormones, which I'm sure you see as an impact for your perimenopausal, menopausal clients.
Yeah, massively. And I think, the easier run you've had throughout your life with your periods, like if you have a healthy period, so your period just arrives and then you bleed for 4, 5, 6, 7 days and then it goes. So like that's a healthy period. It shouldn't be painful. It shouldn't be heavy. It shouldn't be anything. The women who've had those sort of periods tend to have the smoothest run through menopause. But the women who've suffered like with endometriosis and polycystic ovaries and, like heavy, painful bleeding, cramping, all of those things, these poor women have just been up against their hormones their whole life. And their ride through menopause tends to be they feel perimenopause a whole lot sooner than the other women, for sure.
It's like going off-roading an ATV off the side of a cliff. Put your helmet on, put your seatbelts on, your 5-point harness, and buckle up because it's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah. But, so not to say that there's not a lot we can do.
Not to say. Absolutely. It's never too late to really take control of your health. So when we see our clients, because again, the bulk of our clients are in their 30 plus. Of course, we get the 20 somethings, but I find the 20 somethings just aren't as committed to their journey at that point. That's not to say all of them aren't, but they're still in that partying, student life, university life. It really is. The 30s and up is where we see the bulk of our clients. And we have a lot, I would say at least 20% of our clients are 40 plus, 50 plus. We even have a couple of clients in their 60s. Yeah. And what we really see as that big core root of what's going on with their acne is, of course, there's going to be gut inflammation, which we know gut inflammation is having a massive impact on the health of your hormones because your gut is responsible for manufacturing, regulating, and metabolizing so many of your hormones. Yeah. So if it's struggling, so are your hormones. I'm sure you do lots of gut work with your own clients.
Yeah, because that's the thing. If you're not, you could have the world's most perfect diet, but if you're not absorbing the nutrients from the food that you're eating, we're missing the mark. You could be popping 100 supplements a day, but if you're not absorbing what you're taking into your body, we're definitely missing the mark. And I see, like with a lot of our clients too, as we sort of get older, our body's producing less stomach acid, we're producing less digestive enzymes. So we're not able to, it becomes harder again for us to break down those nutrients and absorb them into our body. So it can go off and do all the jobs that they need to do.
Now, I'm so glad you brought the stomach acid up because I was like, oh my gosh, we have to go there because as you age, it declines. And it's a really big impact overall on our gut health, but also the health of our skin. So when we look at the impact of stomach acid on acne sufferers, there's a couple ways that it impacts. So the first one, of course, like you already mentioned, Kylie, is the lack of nutrient absorption, because when your stomach acid is meant to help break down your food. But what happens when there's not enough of it is a few things. Is one, you're not absorbing all of those wonderful nutrients. So you can be eating the best diet in the world, but if you're not absorbing it, too bad. Number two is it can actually cause your food to putrefy and ferment and sit in the gut too long, which is going to be a little smorgasbord, a little all-you-can-eat buffet for the bad bacteria and yeast in your gut. So you're allowing that gut inflammation to proliferate and to grow and to get worse. And it's all leading back to our stomach acid. And another thing we find, especially with acne sufferers, and I'm sure you see this in your own clients, is constipation. Like constipation is huge for acne sufferers, because remember, your colon is part of your body's detoxification system. Yep. And if you're not having a healthy bowel movement 1 to 3 times a day, not per week, not per month, not per year, 1 to 3.
Hopefully they've got this message, but let's say it again. How many bowel movements should we be having, Katie?
1 to 3 every single day. And it's not just a bowel movement. You want to be having a healthy bowel movement. So we need to be looking at, well, what does that healthy bowel movement looks like? It should be, one long, smooth, snake-like movement, minimal cracking. You should be not straining. You're not spending 25 minutes on the toilet. It should be quick, easy to pass with minimal residue. That's a healthy bowel movement. And you should feel like a complete emptying. It's not like there's something stuck in there. It's not super loose. It's not rabbit pellets. Yep. That's what we want to be looking at for. Because if you're not having those and we're chronically constipated, we have to remember that all of the waste, the excess hormones, like your estrogen, your toxins that your body's trying to get rid of through your stool, are now reabsorbing back into your bloodstream, circulating throughout your body, and then relating to a higher level of systemic inflammation, a higher burden on your liver, and leading to an excess in hormones. And whether you're dealing with acne, you're dealing with menopause, having a healthy bowel movement is going to be critical.
100%. That's the thing. And I say this all the time. It doesn't matter what your health goal is and what your symptoms are that you're struggling with. If that digestive system and that bowel movement, if that's not working, everything is going to be backed up, literally. Yep. So ladies, we cannot stress enough the importance of getting on top of your digestion. So Katie, I know you do a lot of functional testing with your clients. Do you want to talk us through the types of testing you do? This Hormone Hub episode is sponsored by The Well-Balanced Woman. If you've been on a hormonal roller coaster, feeling bloated, your digestion isn't the best, and you know you're sick and tired of feeling lethargic with your weight creeping up, then this is the right program for you. I'm right there with you across the 12 weeks to hold your hand, and I'll give you a loving kick up the bum if you need it. The Well-Balanced Woman is your personalised 4-phase program created to help you regain your energy, balance your hormones, and fire up your metabolism so you get the results you're after. The link with all the details is on our show notes or over at kyliepinwell.com/well-balanced-woman. Absolutely.
So with our clients, and just in my practice in general, we're all about testing and not guessing when it comes to acne, because acne sufferers have spent a little bit of time and money on their face. Like myself alone, I spent $10,000 on my skin over the course of a 5-year period. It's a shocking number to hear, but when you think about it, that's $2,000 a year, or around $180 a month. How easy is it to spend $180 on your face? Whether it's a facial that's $200, you buy a new skincare product.
Just just the facial alone, let alone all the other bits that come with it. So,
and I think 10 grand is conservative, to be honest. Like I'm sure it was more in the $15,000 range. So women they've spent a lot of money and they've spent a lot of time on their face. So I don't want to be trial and erroring with supplements and saying, oh, you want to know what? Like, let's just throw this probiotic and this liver supplement and see if it helps.
Yep.
I want to be able to have concrete answers in place, because so often our clients go to their doctor, they get those traditional blood labs done, and they're told everything's normal, you're completely fine. Meanwhile, we have a face full of cystic acne. We have hot flashes if they're our older clients. We have chronic migraines. We have bloat and horrible stomach issues. We're not going to the bathroom every day. We have joint pain. We have brain fog. We're not sleeping. But Kylie, everything's normal. Your blood labs are totally fine, so there's nothing wrong.
Just a part of getting older.
It's a part of getting older. And that's what we hear is it's a part of getting older. It's a part of being a woman. It's a part of being a mom. And it's like, no, it's not just a part of. Your body is meant and designed to thrive, not just survive.
Yeah.
And in our society, we made it so commonplace that just because something is common doesn't make it normal. Just because menopause sucks for the majority of people, women in our society, doesn't mean it has to.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And I think we're too easily dismissed. And what I also see, which is really interesting, so women who are suffering, they just put up with all of these symptoms, but they don't actually know that there are options to do something about that and change it. You can choose to change it at any time. And I've had some great conversations recently with clients while they're thinking about making a change or enrolling in a program or doing something about their health, is we also get to choose. And if it's available to us, we can choose to do things differently, and we don't have to put up with all of these things. We don't have to suffer through by any means.
When we're looking at making a change, and it can be kind of scary for a few reasons. Of course, there's a financial commitment. Of course, there's going to be some changes made. And it really, for our clients in general, can be that fear of failure, also that fear of the unknown. Yep. And when clients or just women in general are having these self-limiting beliefs pop up, I really like to encourage, okay, let's make a list of what is your acne, what is your menopause symptoms costing you, not just financially, what's it costing you mentally and emotionally as well? Because there's a mental and emotional cost that goes along to dealing with symptoms day to day. And when you really look down at it, it's like, do you want to suffer in this pain all of the time for the foreseeable future, staying stuck on that hamster wheel, running and getting nowhere? Or do you finally want to make yourself the top of the priority list and say, no, like, I deserve to feel better. I am worthy enough to feel better, to invest in myself. Because again, as women, we're such givers. Like, we always give to everybody, whether you're a mom and you have children and you feel guilty for doing something for you because you're the mom and everything must go to them. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. Like, I think the saying is so cheesy, but it's so good, is you can't pour from an empty cup. Yes. So when you take charge of your health, you become your own best health advocate, and you're like, no, I'm making the change. I'm choosing differently because I want to feel better. And then when you make that change and you feel better, it trickles down into all other areas of your life. Like, Kylie, do you find your clients, their relationships improve because they're not super irritable all the time, or they do better at work because they have the energy from actually sleeping in the night?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything gets better. And I think when you start to consciously make those changes and work on, your sleep, your energy, focus on how you're nourishing your body, you then all of a sudden have the energy to move your body and do some exercise, which flicks off all of your happy endorphins. And it's good for your mental health as well as your physical health, as well as clearer and more focused at work, and calmer with your kids. You're not this screaming banshee mum who's ready to stab everybody in the eye with a fork. So,
as she says from personal experience,
maybe 3 teenage children. Our forks are kept in a drawer for a reason.
I so look forward to the teenage years.
Heads up, follow me for more tips.
For more tips on parenting with Kylie.
But it does. You improve one aspect of your life and everything else improves as well. And we're whole people. And I think this is where, when we sort of approach our health holistically, we're looking at our mental health, our physical health, and then break down that physical health, how we nourish our body, how we move our body, how we think, how we respond to stress, and work on all of that. It's got that ripple effect that benefits, I think, every area, which is huge. And I love seeing that with clients too. You can
it's amazing.
See when those light bulbs go off and go, it's not just about losing weight, or it's not about fixing the acne. It's about everything.
And I think that's why is when people have an issue, like you have hot flashes, or you have that weight, or you have acne, you have the horse blinders on and you're so focused on that one goal, just getting there, that you don't realize all the other beneficial changes that can happen. So for our clients, some of the first things we see is, oh my God, I got my period and I didn't even know it was coming. Yeah. I'm usually in bed with a bottle of Advil and a heating pad, taking the day off work for 3 days.
Yeah.
I have horrendous bloat where I'm embarrassed to go out for dinner on dates because the bloating is so bad. Oh my God, it's gone. Yes. So I like to, in our community, we call these non-skin wins, where they don't realize that changing their health and getting their body into a healthier state clears up not just their one goal, but all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do the same, because we get women who, and we've been conditioned by the scales. We've been conditioned to measure progress by the scales, but we get our clients to keep a progress tracker. And on that progress tracker, we have, their cycle, their mood, their bloating, their digestive system, their energy, sleep, anxiety, and then their skin. And then they can add to that anything that they like. And we get them to check in every 2 weeks and rate out of 10, because those sort of things you can't measure. And if you've had ongoing headaches sort of every month for as long as you can remember.
Just awful.
Yeah, but when those headaches get less and less, they become less frequent, they become less intense, all of a sudden they're gone and you don't notice. And it's not until you go back to the progress tracker and you kind of go, oh my God, I'm not having headaches anymore. I don't have bloating anymore. I'm not moody. I'm not anxious. And it's really great to track that progress that way, so you can see that knock-on effect to everything.
I think that's a really important thing to do. We do that with our own clients. And we always tell them, like, your acne is most likely going to be one of the last things to clear. So in order for you to physically see that the work you're doing is working, note your bowel movement improvements, note if your energy is better, note if your periods are better, note if your brain fog is less, and if your energy is better, if you're sleeping better. These are all things that you can note down and be like, oh man, like it is working.
Yeah, 100%. And I just love seeing those changes.
It's my favorite, to be honest. I love seeing those changes. And when, our clients always post a little graduation post at the end of their time with us, and they're always like, I expected the skin things, but I never expected to be able to go to the bathroom every single day. I never expected to be able to drop those last 10 pounds I was hoping to get, or I never expected it. And I really love when they get those never expects.
Yeah, I do too. And it's a good illustration of how everything in your body is connected. So like we just said, you improve one thing, you improve everything. So thank you, Katie. What would you like to say? So the women who are listening and they're like, oh my God, I'm 50 years old, I've got this acne, what would your advice be? Like, where should they start? And also where can they find you?
Oh, you don't worry, I'm in all the places. So for you, first, I want you to remember that you're not alone. There's so many women in their 40s and in their 50s struggling with acne. You're definitely not the only one in the world. So I know it can feel very isolating when you're dealing with it. And the second thing I want you to remember is you're not stuck with it forever. We just need to really examine and analyze what is the root cause of your acne in conjunction with those menopausal shifts that you're having. So are we looking back at the gut inflammation? Is our liver really overloaded and sluggish? Is that shift in our hormones causing us to have these additional symptoms? So this is why I am a really big fan of that functional testing that is outside the blood lab. So whether it's, in your case, probably a Dutch would be really, really helpful, or whether it's a GI map, looks at your stool, or a hair trace mineral analysis, that can be really helpful. But before you even do any of those things, just getting your digestion in a better spot overall, I would say would be the number one. And some of my favorite tips for working on digestion, of course, chewing your food well, because that helps to improve digestion in the gut, especially if you're dealing with low stomach acid. Maybe we're avoiding too many liquids with our meals, which are further diluting our digestive juices. Maybe you're working with a practitioner to look at the right digestive support, whether that is like some digestive enzymes or bitters or probiotics, and then really loving up on the anti-inflammatory foods and reducing those pro-inflammatory foods, I would say would be a really good place to start. And if you want all of the skin loving recipes, the best way to find me is over on Instagram at Katie Stewart Wellness, or you can head over to katiestewartwellness.com for our blog, where there is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hormone loving recipes.
Oh, yeah. And Katie, can I thank you I am new to the world of air fryer. Like very new. I only got one on the weekend, and I cooked your salmon air fryer.
The honey Dijon.
Oh my God, it was amazing. So my husband was not a convert of the air fryer. What do we need another appliance for? Yada yada. And he ate and enjoyed every morsel of your air fryer salmon. So I can highly recommend following Katie for her skin tips, but also for her acne as well. Her recipes as well. Now, Katie has a freebie for us, the Glowing Skin Guide. So we are going to pop that for you in the show notes. We'll also link Katie's Instagram and Katie's website details in the show notes.
I gave you the wrong link. That's an old link we don't use anymore. It's called the Gut Loving Cheat Sheet. I'll give you a new link.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll have the correct link for Katie's freebie, and we'll just make sure it's all in the show notes so you can go there and grab it. Well, Katie, thank you. It has been so much fun. I've been wanting to have you on the program for such a long time now. We're so glad we made it happen. So thanks you.
Kylie.
And everyone, thank you for listening, and we will see you in the next episode. Thank you for taking the time to listen today. You can head on over to the show notes at kyliepinwell.com/podcast, where you'll find all the links, and I have a little bonus surprise waiting for you. Before we go, it would mean the world to me if you head on over to your favourite podcasts channel, subscribe and leave a review. Make sure to screenshot it, DM it to me so I can thank you personally. Then stay tuned for next week's episode. Can't wait to see you then.